So Realism Craft just got another brand new update, and it's big. Let's talk all about it. Alright, now, not to get too sappy immediately in the video, not good for the sponsors, you know how it goes. But anyways, sentimentally besties, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the support that you guys have been giving me on the Realism Craft videos so far. I love this stuff, it's so fun to make the videos, and yeah, I'm just glad you enjoy it. So yes, Realism Craft brand new update. Unfortunately for this one, you're probably going to want to roll with a brand new world. See, it's not that your old worlds aren't going to work, because they definitely will, but a lot of the changes in this brand new update actually have to do with world generation and settings that you're going to have available right from the start. Wow, take a look at this. Alrighty, so this is a little bit of a throwback. This is an item that I believe I discovered in part 1 of the Realism Craft video, which, by the way, this third episode of Realism Craft is still not actually part 2. Just keep your eyes tuned for that. This is just an update video. Wowee, take a look at that armadillo. I mean, rock on the terracotta, that's fire, but the armadillo, I don't think I've ever seen you before, small friend. How are you doing? You look so good. Oh, I terrify you, but wow, you're so good looking. The ambiance in here too, man, I just love it here. Look at the dead bush. Oh, I've never seen any of this. I really need to get around to actually properly exploring even more. Oh, it's beautiful. Anyways, Realism Craft, when you make a brand new world inside of 1.2 update, you're gonna spawn with not one but two things: the Realism Guidebook and the VFX settings. If I go ahead and slide into this thing, then tap on, say, ambient, I'm gonna have a bunch of different options. Now, probably the easiest way to show this off is listen. Yeah, so you can hear all of the wind going on. Maybe I don't really want to have that background wind. If I slide into here somewhere, all the way down here in other, there is immersive sound. If I tap that off and then tap submit, well, I give it a second and all those sounds will go away. The sky settings right here. We don't want to see any more birds. No flying birds in the sky. I go ahead and hit submit, and then just like that, well, I don't know if you noticed it, go ahead and turn that toggle back on. Give it a second. You see the bird up there? Well, if I'm quick enough and I go ahead and turn off the birds and back out, the birds are actually going to despawn, and no longer will any bird animations show up inside of the sky. Why in the world would you want that? I have no clue, but maybe you do. Now, this kind of brings up a huge point that I saw. A lot of people were saying they're getting like a little bit of like motion sickness from all the animations. If that's the case for you, that's tragic. Maybe you adjust the settings at the beginning of your world so you don't have to, like, you know, clean out your keyboard again. You know what I'm saying? And a big change that we talked about in this video right here, it dropped in the 1.1 update. Animations were actually toned down. But yeah, now you're going to have these VFX settings right from the start, so you can go ahead and customize that. Otherwise, I have no clue how you would have actually got your hands on this controller in survival. Like, maybe you would have had to just flip game mode and spawn it in. Now carrying on, next up, we need to make our way over to the local crafting table. Wow, this running animation. You know, I've been waiting for the actions and stuff pack. If you're out of the loop, that's a different pack. It dropped, but I kind of like missed the boat on that one because the official download was taken down, and I guess allegedly it's coming to the marketplace very soon. But anyways, over here at the crafting table, which have I seen you before? You look different. Good looking, but different. Anyways, inside of this thing, well, that's how I would have gotten it before. Dirt and redstone. But anyways, brand new recipe. So this is kind of funny, but if I go ahead and pick up a dirt block, slide over to the crafting table, put it inside of the crafting table, just like that, you can go ahead and craft yourself a brand new guidebook. Now, keep in mind that this guidebook, to be honest, is really not about too much. It's just like the Dr. Seuss version of Realism Craft, you know, the story, what I'm saying. There's not really too much usefulness to the book, but whatever. You can actually craft the book if you lose it now, which I suppose is good. Oh, wow. Any second, I start walking around inside of this thing, I see, like, the sun glare now that it's becoming evening. It's so good looking. What are you? You're like Azalea Mini. I know you're definitely not, though. You're gone forever, so I'm never going to know, but wow, that's beautiful. Now, next up, for our Realism Craft update, the last update added a whole ton of brand new blocks in the form of the 1.21 stuff. We're talking copper bulb, chiseled copper, copper grates, and more. Unfortunately, at least to my knowledge, this update does not actually add any brand new blocks or items to the game, but there is hope. And a note from none other than the developers themselves, they are currently working already on the next update, what I assume will be the 1.3 update. And inside of that update, alongside a gigantic bug fix that'll be going down, more improvements are on the way. Now, I don't want to get your hopes up too much, because more improvements really is so vague, but when I hear the words more improvements, my mind starts to go, I wonder what that could be. Could that maybe mean, like, improvements in the form of new things? New features? Like, let's say, maybe some brand new ambiance items. Like, I don't know. Whoa, take a look at the Wendigo skull. Oh my god, I know I just raised our odds of getting taken away. Not only me, but you heard it too, but that's a Wendigo skull if I've ever seen one. Wow. So if we're super lucky, maybe it'll mean even more things, at the least improvements. I mean, they're always great. Another thing that I'm always hopeful, wishful for in things like this is, hey, why not maybe improve the world with a brand new random structure? Even if it's just like something really small. I think it'd be cool. So in the comments of both the part 1 video, but especially the part 2 video, I saw quite a few comments pointing out the fact that unfortunately in Realism Craft, when you chop down a tree, if you remove all of the logs, even these small, interesting ones, well, if you disconnect all of the logs from the tree,
the leaves don't actually necessarily despawn, and that's definitely a little bit of a pain.
Obviously, with an issue like that, that'll mean if you chop down a tree and you want to get rid of the leaves, well, you're going to need your trusty hoe, shears, or I guess your hand, but that's going to take like a hot minute to actually go ahead and break all of that stuff. Ooh, who wants to do that? Oh, wow. No, you didn't, buddy. You are still so amazing looking. The skeleton looks so good, but you can't do that. Wow, running around through this forest biome though, like I swear every single time I play this, I played it like quite a bit off camera as well, but every time I play it, it just feels like I'm getting something completely brand new and finding something different. Like, look at that massive oak tree right there. I want to transplant that, buddy, into my house, my yard, real life. That is a beautiful looking tree. I can't see it, but trust me. Anyways, and one of the most important fixes on its way to Realism Craft ASAP, the leaves will actually despawn. Ah, yes, the heavenly sound effects is so justified for this moment right here because that sounds like such a huge pain, especially in a survival world. Since it was such a big thing in the comments of the other video, I just wanted to make sure I updated you in this one. In a different discovery, Charlie XCX, I need the apples. So in a different discovery we made very early on in our adventure into Realism Craft, this right here is a rock. If I break the rock previously, for whatever reason in the world, I was getting cocoa beans. Now, I will no longer ever get cocoa beans. Now instead, with no silk touch, what? All right, so I have to be honest, I'm not sure if I always need a silk touch for these rocks, but I know for sure that sometimes previously, I would break some of the rocks and I would get cocoa beans. In fact, it definitely happened to me before. Now I'm just breaking the rocks with my hand and I'm getting the actual rock item itself. That's pretty crazy. It doesn't happen every single time. Seems that there's a little bit of a varied loot table going on. But yeah, cocoa beans will never drop from the rocks anymore. So one of the unfortunate things about the marketplace and how things are done is that once something updates, the old update is gone forever, essentially becoming a lost internet footage, which means I can't show you this next part. But allegedly, the honeycomb block texture was a little bit messed up, and now it's been fixed in this update. Side note, the honeycomb block texture is one of those textures in Realism Craft, at least to me, that makes you go, wait, did they actually, like, update that texture, or is that just how it is in vanilla? Next up, for this next change, it's out into the great unknown, our big world. We need to do a little bit of exploration. You see, we're looking for a very specific structure. Something like a shipwreck, a raft on the ocean, that's very, very cool. As amazing as it is, though, technically, it's not what I need in my life today. Instead, we need a biome, something kind of like this right here. A little bit more flat, a little bit more open. Inside of this biome, the savanna biome, or especially the plains biome like I was seeing before, pillager outposts, the new version of them, would generate. And they would generate like crazy. So this world that I just jumped into right here is actually the very first world that we made in Realism Craft when we were exploring, checking it all out in part 1. This is the village that we ended up ending things off at in that video. Take a look at this plains biome over here though. We have a big tower, we have a big tower, we have a different big tower, we have another big tower. Those are all different pillager outposts, different versions of the same structure that we're generating. And as you can see here, way, way, way too common. 4 pillager outposts right next to 1 village. I mean, come on, man. Like, the villagers aren't even armed. That's a little bit excessive, right? So now, to get around all of those issues with the pillager outpost being way, way too common, this structure is still going to generate. It's just going to generate a little bit less in your world. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What in the world? Is that a bat? Or is that a crow? No, that's definitely a crow. Oh, that's so cool. You know you can train crows IRL to bring you things. That's so cool. And another change that comes our way in Realism Craft 1.2, the world settings have been fixed, the default ones. So I assume that has to do with like maybe when you're creating a world. I'm not 100% sure though, but yeah, I guess something was a little bit off. The cobblestone stair texture has also been fixed inside of this update, and wow, this is one of the most beautiful versions of a cobblestone texture that I have ever seen. It's just so smooth and good looking. Also, I like how it's like seemingly adjusting the tone from the biome to biome, right? Or is that just me? All right, maybe I'm a little bit crazy, but that totally looks a little bit lighter, and then that's definitely darker looking, right? Or warmer, right? No? Let's move on. What in the world is this? Is this a bison? Oh, no, you're just a cow. Retexture for the savannah. I mean, hey, that's a cool idea. I like that. And so, last but not least, that brings us towards the end of today's video. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing update videos for every Realism Craft update. If you would like me to continue doing this type of video, then let me know by tapping like. And still absolutely keep your eyes out for even more Realism Craft parts where we actually jump into the world and just explore and enjoy the game. Anyways, our very final change I'd like to talk about today involves Netherward. Netherward, the final stage of the... How do you speed up the growth of it? Netherward, the very final growth stage of this strange mushroomy plant-looking thing has been fixed. The texture, I have no clue what it looked like before, but nowadays, it's looking a little something like this. And so that brings us to the end of the saga today officially. If you haven't yet, absolutely check out the 1.1 update video or the proper part 1. It's been me, Minecraft's most handsome, running into the sunset until tomorrow. I'll see you then. Goodbye.